So I would like to introduce our panelists to you right now. Steven Earnhardt, who is the director of the film. Steven has more than 20 years of experience in the entertainment industry. He was a director, a producer of film and theater. He was a studio executive at some point and an editor. As director of production for Miramax Films, Steven oversaw all aspects of production internationally and in the US for such films as Madonna, Truth or Dare, Neil Jordan's The Miracle, Bill Duke's A Rage in Harlem. Steven also worked several seasons on Saturday Night Live. He produced music videos for David Byrne, IBM, American Express, Kenneth Cole, Santana, The Who. These are all old people. I know, Sheryl Crow and the Wallflowers. Steven's critically acclaimed documentary Muleskinner Blues was distributed by Sundance Channel Theatricals, and it was playing on Sundance Channel for a while. He has also written, directed, produced a multimedia adaptation of Haruki Murakami's international best-selling novel, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. Nancy Schaefer, who is sitting next to Steven, is a producer who works on independent film right now. She is the executive producer of The Battered Busters of Baseball that played at Sundance in 2014, and producer of Seven Chinese Brothers, which is now in post-production, and The Man Who Fell from Waterloo Towers in pre-production. Mrs. Schaefer worked at and ran the Tribeca Film Festival from inception until July 2012, a period of 11 years. She was the executive director of Tribeca Film Festival and the executive vice president of Tribeca Enterprises. Through Tribeca Enterprises, she began and ran Tribeca Film, Tribeca's film distribution company. As a consultant, Ms. Schaefer continues to work with Tribeca, as well as other established and startup film businesses and filmmakers. Prior to joining Tribeca, she created and ran the South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin, Texas, for 8 years. Along with her festival experience, Nancy Schaefer has worked on several films, including 2 from director John Sayles, Sunshine State and Limbo, and 2 from director Robert Byington, Olympia and Shameless, and began her film production career on The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And last but not least, our very own faculty member, Chris Langer, who I hope you've had in some classes. Chris is a multimedia artist and a co-founder and president of Operation CMYK, a Webby Award-winning media arts company that has created cross-platform online architecture for over 100 clients, including the high-profile pharmaceutical company BrainLab, the award-winning industrial designer group Echo, for Panasonic, television journalist Farnoosh Torabi, as well as the infamous Mario Batali. Chris exhibited his own creative work at Monkeytown, Irondale Center, Lincoln Center, and the Baryshnikov Art Center. Chris holds masters from NYU Interactive Telecommunications Program. He has been teaching multimedia production at television and radio department since 2006. Welcome.
Production companies, what are the qualities they're looking for an employee?
Maybe you guys want to talk about that.
I think it would be great if you all talk about, because we don't really know where we're going to work, right? And I'm totally identifying. So maybe, Chris, you can talk about, you do hire, and often they are Brooklyn College students, right?
It honestly just depends. So my company is new media interactive stuff, so we kind of look all over the place. We do a ton of production, video production, actually. When we hire people, we do look for... I'm usually the one that's primarily in charge of that kind of hiring, and I obviously look for experience in that. But that's tough because, we're doing video production shoots, and we need people to exactly know how to run things when that happens. But when we hire for other things within, the qualities that I usually look for are people that may not know how to do it, but are willing to figure it out. I think that's really, really important for anyone that comes, especially in new media, especially in emerging technologies and things that I know all of you are probably thinking about in the back of your head someplace, but that we don't know how to do a lot of these new things that are coming up, especially in media, especially like what's going to be the next YouTube. So being willing to figure that out and figure it out fast before other people do is probably the biggest thing I look for.
Thank you. Nancy, could you also, as a producer?
I mean, I look for obviously people who are competent and well-spoken and, you know, all those things. But I also really find myself gravitating towards candidates who have studied the topic, are engaged, are inquisitive, like want to challenge assumptions, like even in an interview, why have you done this in your company, or how did that start, or where did that lead to? So, I mean, I look to or did when I ran bigger companies, my employees to challenge me on my assumptions and to actually actively help me brainstorm ideas that could help make things better. So I don't want someone who's just, you know, very quiet and meek. I want someone who's engaged in the topics and reading and you know, knows what we're doing.
Steven, are you ready?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like there's some real basic things that seem to have gotten lost in the, you know, with people that I've been working, which are just simple things: being on time, doing what you say you're going to do or been asked by the time that you've been asked to do it, or by the time that you say you're going to do it. It's like just simple things of following through and not coming up with excuses of why it didn't get done. It sounds so simple, but those people are really rare. Like, I'm working with this one woman, very young. She's 2 years out of college on a short film now. She works for the company I'm doing it for. I mean, I hardly ask her to, you know, to do something or get a release form or something. I mean, it's done before I can ever even, you know, blink. And just, I never worry that I say it once and it gets done. Like, nothing drives me crazy more than like me having to follow through and keeping a checklist of, did that person do this and do that. It sounds so simple, but just insane follow through and responsibility. They're so basic, but it seems to have gotten, those people are rare now. So if you can be that kind of person, I think you'll go far.
So you said you worked as an executive producer for a certain amount of time, and you told us that to raise funds you need to first build a good story. But I'm wondering, who do you go to ask for money, like besides friends and family, for example?
You're talking about very small budget, like short film, short fiction?
Yeah, short film or a web series, for example.
So different mediums, different places to raise money, but short films really is friends and family. But there is no monetization of short films. So there's no way investors don't want to invest in short films because there's no way for them to recoup their funds. So, there's probably some granting organizations that you could get money for short films, but I really think it's friends and family. And if you want to be a film director, you need to make short films to show people when you want to make a feature that you actually know what you're doing when you direct. So, but you do need to do that through friends and family, I think is the best way. And
she was asking about the web series. Would you recommend working maybe on a pilot? Because I know that many of our MFA students are trying to make a small pilot for a bigger television format.
So the way this is happening these days is Kickstarter. So outside of, I mean, obviously, unless you're Zach Braff, you can't raise the money for a feature on Kickstarter, but you can definitely raise the money for a short on Kickstarter. Just remember that it's really more than a full-time job to do a Kickstarter campaign. You can't enter into it thinking, I have 500 friends on Facebook, I'm going to be fine. It's something like 1/10 of your friends will give you $20. So just do that in your math in your head, and you'll sort of know where you might end up, which is not enough money. You have to build a lot of content for your Kickstarter. You have to really figure out how you're going to outreach. You can outreach through whatever the subject is of your film. Say you are making a short documentary on wild horses. You can like find out who loves wild horses on Facebook, you know, and start groups and, you know, do things and, you know, follow people who are likely to want to invest in your film. But for fiction, it really is just broadening your network and broadening your network on social media so that you can tap into them for fundraising on Kickstarter.
You, Steven, those two projects that you mentioned were very much, you know, your passion You love those projects. But you had to survive in the meantime. Would you let us know how you survived? I mean, I'm talking about Barnes and Noble. I'm not talking
Yeah, I know. I do a lot of like corporate stuff. I mean, I rent my apartment out on Airbnb. A lot. I'm a professional couch surfer. In the theater, in that world also too, especially sort of more experimental multimedia theater, it's like it's in the performing arts is a whole different other world. I feel like it's 80% fundraising and 20% creativity. I mean, at best, all you're doing is raising money, and all of that grants that are so precious dollars. I hardly ever paid myself anything at all. Went to other people. So in the end, it's like I almost feel like on a project that's, we're not talking about millions of dollars, that in looking back about the efficiency, I swear it would have been almost as less time consuming to just get 3 jobs and do work for Barnes and Noble, whatever, and almost just pay for it myself than it is to spend. I mean, for every grant that I got, I wrote 5, 6, 7, 8 that I didn't get. And they take a lot of time. They take 2-3 weeks, and you're begging for people for materials and all of that. I swear, and I've gone to like grant writing seminars, and friends of mine just go, oh my God, I think I'd rather just go work or, because the grants a lot of times aren't a lot of money. I mean, Nancy has a lot more experience of raising, real money. Mine are smaller projects, so it's not appropriate when we're talking about a lot bigger, things. But, for our friend who wanted to be an actor, it's like people just do everything, and New York is the hardest place to do all this because just how much it costs. So you end up having to really, really be passionate about what because there's 10 other people that'll do what you are not willing to do, So it's just a huge amount of hard work.
Now we're all sad. So
No, you can all do it.
Hi, my name is Lauren Durant, and my question is for anyone who wants to answer it. And a lot of the stuff that's being said is very depressing. And I just want to know, how do you make money in this industry? Because that's the big question to me. How do people survive while they're trying to make it? I know, renting out your apartment, all that, it's possible, but I just want to know, do you need to have a second job and treat this as a hobby?
I wake up every morning and think, where's the money?
I can't think any other way. That's just the way my brain works, and I'm trying to understand, where's
that's
the money?
a good question. Maybe you can tell a little bit about the sound jobs and Barnes and Noble jobs.
Tell her about
I mean, it's for everything.
All right.
That's where the money. New media. That's where the money.
It's true. That's where the money is. But no, it's not. Actually, it's not at all. Honestly, when I first started, when I was in, 22 years old, I had 3 jobs working because I really wanted to be the sort of artsy filmmaker. I realized that was pretty painful, and that being the artsy filmmaker, it's going to take a lot of time to do, and a lot of chance and luck. And I'm not a lucky person. So then I went to go work in a pharmaceutical advertising agency, and I made a ton of money.
Yes.
A massive amount of money at that job. And I hated it. I hated every single minute of it. I worked there for 1.5 years, but I made so much money. So you balance it. You kind of figure it out. And you say, look, I can make a bunch of money here and hate my job. I can make no money here, but love every second of what I'm doing, except for I can't eat. Or you balance it and you eventually figure it out. I mean, I slowly am figuring it out. It just takes, 35 years.
I have to defer to them because I actually have always had a job. Until the last 2 years, and I've always been a producer type. I'm not trying to make my own work. So, I think if you're trying to make your own work as an independent filmmaker in New York City, you have to be shooting corporate videos and stuff like that to get by. Every director I work with has day jobs. They might be freelance, but they still earn a living some other way. But for me, I had jobs in the field I wanted to be in, which was film.
You mentioned, I don't know if all of you mentioned interning before you got the job. You worked for free. Do you mind telling us how long you had to work for free to get the job? I mean, I remember, from your
I didn't. I actually never worked for. I mean, I volunteered at film festivals, but I never
Yeah,
worked
that's what I
for
mean.
free. I mean,
That's when you got your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I interned for 3 years and I didn't get paid that much. And I worked those 2 jobs. The only thing I'll say is like, that was my choice. I could have gone and made a bunch of money someplace, or I could have gone and done something else. So, I don't want to sound negative because it's not really that bad at all. Like, I don't think the jobs that I'm doing is very difficult, like in terms of pain on my head. Like, I'm not upset every day when I go home because I don't make $1 million a year like Colin Farrell. But it's, everything's a struggle no matter what. So don't feel like if you want to do what you want to do, you're going to make $1 million out of it right away.
Maybe you can tell us about the project that you especially love. What inspires you besides just not wanting to do what you don't want to do? Maybe it could be, I could ask you simply, what is the next project you're working on?
After Wind Up Bird came to a conclusion and I lost both my parents in a very short amount of time, I decided to try to write something that was, I realized that most of my projects were based around content that was really, really far away from me. I was really fascinated with these people living in a trailer park in Florida. I was interested in this character in Japan that was wandering through this giant metropolis, but it was always the fascination with things that were really, really different from me. And I decided that for once I wanted to try to delve into very personal material that was very much a part of me. And I think one of the first things I tried to get over was like, well, why is my life that interesting? Who wants to listen? It's about my family and whatever. But really to be able to, we're all very, very, each person sitting in this room has a very, very unique voice, and you all are a contribution in some way to this amazing industry where you get to communicate something very, very special. And I think to not lose sight of that no matter who you are, you have something very, very unique to say. And I've been trying to tell myself that this story that I've been trying to write about, my family and my experience and my mother's Alzheimer's, and not only, and I don't want to make something dour and sad. It was a really mystical, profound experience. And to treat suburbia as like a mystical place and to try to do something I haven't seen before. And it's really, really hard, and I put the script down and I come back and come to it from different angles because I don't want it just to be therapeutic. And how can you make something uplifting and even, the absurdity of end of life and not something super depressing. So that's what I've been trying to work on, and to have the courage to sort of really reach into my own personal experience and uniqueness as a filmmaker and put those two things together and have the courage to believe that, I can do that.
Well, I mean, I always I get really wrapped up in great stories, and then I want to help my filmmakers. What are we going to do next? How can we make this happen? So I have too many projects going on at any one moment. I do have several films I'm very, very engaged in at the moment, but the process of making a feature film is so slow that that it's hard for me to I can't put all my eggs in one basket. Just the development process, raising the money and working on the script for an average independent film is a year to 2 years. So I have a lot of things going on, and I love them all. They're like my little children, and I nurture them all along the way and help them grow. And so I don't really have a specific film I'm going to tell you about, but I love them all. They're all great.
Well, the one that's playing, did you say the one that you just finished? The one that...
Well, so I have a film that premiered at Sundance last year and sold to Netflix, and it's called The Battered Bastards of Baseball, and that's a documentary, and it's an awesome story. It's on Netflix. It's Kurt Russell's father, Bing Russell, was an actor in shows like Bonanza in the 1950s, and he played basically a deputy sheriff. He's in the background of like every scene, and as he said, I died 160 times on film in my career. He in the 1970s, he decided he wanted to start a minor league baseball team in Portland, Oregon, which he did, and it ended up becoming the winningest baseball team in the country within just a few years. So it's sort of a Bad News Bears baseball film, and it's really funny and really irreverent and really good. And luckily, the directors just asked me to help out, and that was a story that was already fully shaped when I came on. The film hadn't been made, but the story was all there. So we had a ton of fun with that film.
Chris?
Honestly, I kind of feel like a little spoiled brat because since I own my company and I am the boss, it's new media, so we can make a lot of different things like videos, apps, and when we have time that we don't have to work on client work, which because of the way we built the company is actually 50% of the time, we make all sorts of stuff. And I just made a game that I dreamed up at the bar one night about 2 years ago. It took us a long time to make it. It took us about 9 months to make it, but we made it. And it was kind of crazy. And even myself, I'm like, I can't believe we just thought up of this game. And then we made it and put it on an iPhone. And now it's in the iPhone store. So what's the next project? I don't know. Whatever will come up at the bar, or maybe in class, somebody will be like, hey, why don't you make this? And then who knows what'll happen. So it's sort of a dream. And that's actually the best part about it. So don't get discouraged, because that actually is the best part of my life.
Thank you, everybody.